Greetings, I am Jaromir and welcome to the Slavic Aryan Channel. Today I would like to talk a little bit about the worldview that the Slavs have had in the past. And so, let us talk about the flat earth theory. Allow me to talk about this image. Here we have a snake that symbolizes infinity. In other sources there would be infinite waters, similar to the ancient Egyptian concept of Nun. Well, usually that represented infinite energy. And so as we go in closer to the center, we see a giant turtle, which is a foundation for the three elephants, which are all foundations for our earth. And on top of that, we see an all-seeing eye above the pyramid. And no, this is not the symbolism for the Illuminati, but it is the symbolism for the highest potential of you. Remember, you are a perspective of God after all. No, the earth is not actually physically flat. However, your worldview is very flat, and it usually follows three basic foundations. The three elephants, which are the foundations, are materialism, idealism, and transcendentalism, which is often referred to as mysticism. Materialism contains the first three levels of consciousness. Many scientists are in this area, because materialism has to do with the physical, and those people try to study the world in a material sense. They don't understand that there are things beyond the matter. And even if they have personal experiences which have to do with, spirituality or things like that, they probably won't even admit it because their funding will get threatened if they do. Let's face it. In the Slavic terms, the physical level was called Yev, so your physical world. The second elephant is idealism. The levels here are 4 to 7. Idealists realize that there's more than just matter. And these people usually have religions, join religious sects, and religions have a positive and a negative side. They have administrators and fanatics. Administrators tell you how to know God, and fanatics follow how to know God. Read their little books. They only believe what is in the books, and don't believe in common sense, and don't think. That's the problem with idealism, really. And in the Slavic terms, it was called Nav, or in English terms, the lower astral plane. The astral plane is sort of divided into two realms, in a sense. One is the lower astral, one is the higher astral. In the Slavic mythology, the protector of that barrier between the lower and the higher astral was called V. So if you read Gogol, that's where he's gotten that character from. And the third elephant is Transcendentalism or Mysticism. 7 to 9 levels of consciousness. These people are usually mystics, people interested in the esoteric. You look for yourself for the beauty of God. You don't believe some kind of religion. So, these people understand how to view the synchronicities in their life. They understand numerology, astrology. They usually work on themselves, psychically. They begin to survey their experiences of this world, and whatever doesn't fit into the material elephant or the ideal elephant, they begin to survey that. For example, a few years ago, I have had an astral projection, which has really been the beginning for my spiritual journey. For those of you that don't know, it is when you suddenly you go to bed once and you wake up twice. That's the best way I can explain it. You feel like these vibrations, almost as if your bed has an earthquake or something. But when you wake up and ask, there was no earthquake. It was really you. Then you get out of your body and then begin viewing things, sort of like in the area between the astral realm and the physical realm. And so that night, when I had that, has really pushed me onto this journey and self-discovery. The transcendental realm is really the higher astral, or what the Slavs called it, Slav. And the giant turtle, the Slavs call this ideology Yiudzhism. Yiudj by itself means yoga, but in a case of a word, when it's inserted into a word, it means the balance of the two energies, the ha and the ta. And it kind of looks like that. It looks like the yin and yang symbol for the Chinese. And Yiudzhism says that all is energy. And energy is consciousness. This realm is, in the Slavic terms, called prav. And in English terms, it is the causal realm. The causal in the sense that it causes everything else to appear. So let me just tell you something about consciousness that I have discovered a long time ago. Some people believe that consciousness or awareness is just an electrobiochemical process of the body. Yes, that is how consciousness manifests itself in the physical body. How does that disprove that consciousness does not continue? Imagine a computer. It has several components to it. The hardware, a metaphor for the physical body and its functions. The software, a metaphor for the mind. And consciousness, a metaphor for electricity that runs the whole system. Similar concept to Yiudzhism. Everything is energy. All mental and physical manifestations are the result of consciousness flowing to a certain part of the system. How can you make a discovery if you're not channeling your awareness to it? If you damage the computer screen, you will not see the image anymore. Does that mean that the electricity dies too? Or does it just flow elsewhere? All that the brain is responsible for is to create a function that unites all of the senses into a single component which displays a holographic misrepresentation of reality. The unneeded functions are usually filtered out so that you would not go insane. Therefore, your beliefs alter your perception, allowing some things to come through and others to not be allowed. Does that prove they do not exist? The brain is not responsible for running the body. That is what the DNA is for. That is why when someone is paralyzed from the neck down, their body does not decay. The brain, however, can control the body, and that is done to make your life easier. Think of both the DNA and the brain as filters for consciousness, which is why I think the computer model is appropriate. Were you intentionally created in this way? Yes. Also, if electricity is what makes us conscious, and electricity is energy, and literally everything in our reality is a form of energy, doesn't that mean that everything is conscious? Just different forms and variation of energy and consciousness. Think of it this way. Matter consists of atoms consist of subatomic particles, and those consist of a God particle that scientists are still looking for. Matter is energy, is consciousness. Your holographic misrepresentation could tell you otherwise, however the argument holds. The Bible says that man is created in the image and likeness of God. It's not that God looks like a man. It's that man is consciousness. So stop looking for a human version of God. He isn't there. However, God consciousness is everywhere and is all that is. Maybe we have been given an ego to shield us from joining the other awareness that is out there. That way, we have a sense of self that worries about survival. We are all perspectives of God. And that is why I mentioned that all-seeing eye in the beginning. And if you think about it, there are many cases of collective consciousness that the scientists still don't understand. For example, why do fish swim in schools? The beehives. The Slavs thought of everything in terms of collective consciousness. They treated the forest like a collective consciousness. And they usually assigned a personal character to that. For example, in the forests, it would be Leshi. Because in Russian, les means forest, and Leshi is the one who takes care of the forest. Or the collective consciousness of every single tree or piece of grass or mycelia that is within that forest. And that is the collective consciousness of all that. And they personified it into a one being that takes care of the forest. And the same thing with lakes and rivers and oceans. But that mythological creature was the Vodyanoi. Vodyanoi, vada means water. And think about your body. You are a collective consciousness of trillions of cells. Now, regarding the different levels of consciousness, the different worlds, you have the physical, the ideal, and the transcendental. The physical is the physical body, obviously. the etheric body kind of plays a role in that as well. And you have the ideal, which has to deal with the soul. And you have the transcendental, which has to do with the spirit. So on level 1, the controlling force are instincts. You know, the people who only eat, drink, sleep. The type of person is instinctual or wild. So the second level of consciousness, the controlling force, is feelings. Those people care about entertainment, money, because that has to do a lot with their entertainment. Those types of people are sentimental. They like clubs, fun, and other things of that nature. So on level 3, remember the 3 from the physical elephant, has to do with intellect, the materialists. Those people also care very much about money, but they're intellectuals. And those people are more machine-like than anything else. Just machine-like, hardcore intellect. IQ is everything, everything else is, well, nothing. And so, after level 3, we begin to enter the soul realm, sort of. So the 4th level of consciousness, the controlling force, is the will. Those people are usually not slaves of their body. The type of person is willful. The 5th level of consciousness, the controlling force, is the power of thought. Those people are very reflective, and they often go through things that they have experienced in order to rationalize and make sense of it. On the 6th level of consciousness, you have the power of the word as a controlling force, and those types of people are usually creative, because the word is the balance between the matter and the ideal. That's how you get your thoughts physicalized, through the word. That's why the word is transcendental. On level 7, when we end the journey of the soul, really, that's the final level, is the power of the soul. These people are soulful or compassionate. So from number 8, we really begin to go into the spiritual. So the controlling force is intellect and the will. Those types of people seek wisdom. They're wise. And the very last transcendental step, the controlling force, is spirit and faith. A spiritual person knows what is going on. So the previous ones can only get simple hints of what is going on, but the spiritual person actually knows. So those types of people usually have developed some kind of psychic ability, or have developed their language with their higher mind to a point where they can trust it. And the Russian word for faith is vera, where ve means to know. Remember in the first video I said that the Vedas meant knowledge, and Ra means pure light. So faith literally translates to a knowledge of pure light. And the runes that you see to the left are something that I'm gonna get into later. It requires a whole video on its own. So another thing that you need to remember, which will help you a lot, is matter attracts matter. So if you go after what your physical body wants, it wants laziness, it wants to conserve energy. So matter literally attracts matter in that sense. You will be lying around all day. Emotions attract emotions. The soul will want to experience pleasures of the different kinds, and really you, as the controlling force of that, need to control it and to not let it get out of hand. And the spirit is always attracted by God. So if you go onto the spiritual journey, whatever it might be, you have only one way to go, and that is up. Matter going down, emotion going to the side, and spirit going up. And that is all. I thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, a tiny amount of light from a candle can light up a whole dark room. Light is truth, and truth will always prevail. And so it was, and so it is, and so it will be.